Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys today? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Hemaram Astro Services. Belief is obviously everything. So, we're just looking at, starting with the basics. And when you say basics, it would start with the planets. So, today I will be talking about Sun in particular, and I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please subscribe so that I can create more videos which are interesting and which you'll not find elsewhere. So let's begin. So, what is the first thing you can think about when you talk about sun? Sun is temperature, sun is bright, sun is hot. Those are the things which anyone can think of in the general sense, that is. And sun is anything which is you want to have but you can't have. You can't go close to the sun. You'll be charred to death. So likewise in Vedic astrology too, sun is ego, sun is self-confidence, sun is power, sun is authority, sun is I, as in I, the letter I. So, sun is male children, sun is husband in a woman's horoscope, sun is everything which you want. It could be power, authority, politics. If you want to do well in politics, sun is all that. So, if you have to think about sun, see, we look at sun every day. The sun rises and the sun sets. But in Vedic terms, if you have to imagine sun, how would you imagine? Sun can be imagined with a deity holding a sunflower in his hand and riding a chariot which has 7 horses, and you could relate that to 7 colors of light, that is Vibgyor, 7 days in a week, and 7 chakras in your body. So sun is basically the soul. Sun in Vedic astrology, sun is the soul. It's not the body, it's the soul. Body is moon, so it's a atma in Sanskrit. If I have to say, if I have to say that in Sanskrit, yes, it's atma. It is a karaka of atma. It is the atma karaka. So, and as I've already stressed on, it's basically the soul. Anything to do with fame, power, authority, royalty, anything of all those sort of things which are mentioned here. It's self-explanatory. So the sun is all this, and a good sun would mean good in all these sort of areas. And if it's a bad sun, it essentially means the negative side to all of these sort of things which are there on the screen right now. And now, what does the sun represent in Vedic astrology? That's the body part. Like every planet represents a certain body part. Now, what does sun represent? Sun represents the heart and the right eye, and the left eye is moon. So it's a bit of a contradictory thing. People say both eyes, but that's not the case. Where I've found in a lot of texts, sun represents the heart and the right eye. So any affliction or a weak sun would mean heart problems and the right eye problems. So you need to be extra careful in those cases. So now let's begin. Now, I've tried to sort of answer these sort of things. It's a very vast subject, but I've taken these very interesting sort of areas and things about sun. So when do you say it's a weak sun, strong sun, afflicted sun? Afflicted sun is pretty much easy when it's, with the malefic, other malefics. Now, the first question when you talk about sun is basically the ruler of all the planets, the king of the planets. And but why do you consider it to be a malefic? And it's a Atma Karaka. And the life on earth is basically because of sun. So, but still considered to be a malefic. Why do you say it's a malefic? I'll come back to it. I'll take you through the slide. Now, how do you predict? Is it good, bad, all those sort of things, and how do you interpret that? Prediction is okay. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. Interpretation is based upon the other planets and the relationship with other planets. How do you say sun is good or bad in your horoscope? Like, what are the natural friends of Saturn, enemies of Saturn, neutrals to Saturn, and all those sort of things. And again, does a strong sun mean ego issues? We'll see that. Does a strong sun or a weak sun mean marital discord? If it's in those one or two houses, we'll see that. And what is the best position for sun? Or when does sun do very well in a natal horoscope, in spite of it being weak or strong? Irrespective of those positions, what are the conditions where you would say or you would predict that sun is good for a person? Now, as I've already told you, it's the king of the solar system. It's a natural Atma Karaka. Atma Karaka here is basically the Karaka of soul. What is the soul's urge in this life? And when I've told it's a natural malefic, it's a borderline malefic. It's not a malefic like a Mars or a Rahu or a Saturn. And we'll come back to the combustion of planets and then the ancestral curse also. All those sort of things we'll look at it. Now, why do you say it's a natural malefic? For a simple reason. We are all born on this earth with a certain urge to do well, to earn money, fame, power, recognition, children. It could be anything. So, wherever you have the soul surge, it's obviously because you're working towards purity. You're trying to evolve as a soul. So sun basically what does sun do in a horoscope? It tries to spiritualize you by giving you everything, because that's what the soul wants, and through gratification basically. So it's basically, wherever the sun sits in your horoscope, natal horoscope, it means there is a certain sort of sacrifice which is required in order to make most out of it or to grow. And it's a simple thing, it's a no-brainer that sun is too bright, if to look at. You can't look at it blind without having anything in between, because it will blind you if you do that. It's very uncomfortable. So that's a sort of a thing I'm trying to relate with here as I'm explaining the sun and why is it called a malefic. It's very important to understand this, because the moment you understand this and then you go back to the horoscope and look at where the sun is, you'll be able to look at sun in a better way. Now, it's basic sun. Wherever sun is, it's natural intelligence, and it's a very fine line between what's going to hurt you and what you want. So it's either indulging too much into it, and on the other hand, I spoke about sacrifice. So it's a very fine line. Now, let's take just a house and then try and see, okay, why it's a malefic. Now, if you're looking at sun in the seventh house, for instance, you're looking at too much of indulgence, too much of being dependent on your partner. Now, what does that do? It creates a lot of power struggle, and it becomes very difficult to have um, exchange with others if the sun is in the seventh house, because seventh house basically represents partnership, people, your partner, your spouse, and all those sort of things. So the moment you're too dependent on them, it results in too much of indulgence there, and then you have power struggle because the other person will not like that. That's why sun's debilitated in a natural seventh house of the Kal Purush system. Now let's assume sun in the second house. Now, sun in the second house means um, it tries to separate you from the material possessions to show that um, there are much more things that you can buy. So you indulge in materialistic comforts. So what sun trying to say here is through sacrifice, it says, okay, there are much more than things that one can buy. Now let's assume sun in the first house. It gives a lot of first house, or in the 11th house. In the 11th house first, it gives a lot of fame, wealth, power, position, and all those sort of things. But the problem here is you get too indulgent, and you'll not be able to differentiate between um, uh, you know you know you'll start you'll associate with that. You'll not come out of that. Then there's no detachment there. What I meant to say is, um, sun in the 11th house gives you abundance. It gives you everything you want in life. But ultimately, with this placement, it's easy to feel overshadowed by your reputation, and it becomes very difficult for one to separate their identity from the influence of people. Um, so it makes you, it gives you everything, but at the same time expects a sacrifice because you're evolving as a soul. That's why it's called the Atma Karaka. Now, the second explanation is whenever a planet comes very close or in deep conjunction, or a yuti, what we call in horoscope, with sun, it gets combust. And that basically means whenever the other planets, be it benefic, except for moon, any other planet coming, or a Rahu and a Ketu, all other planets, when they come close to the sun, they combust. That is basically they lose their potential. On the other hand, it also means that sun gains more strength, but it also means that those areas of life, the planets, the way the other planets work when they are combust, is very different. It's in a negative way how you look at a planet when it's combust. Now, when I say ancestral curse, I've just put in as a point. I don't want to stretch too much on that. I'll take that up, in a separate thing. Whenever 9,000 horoscope is basically about your ancestors, it's about divine, it's about God, it's about blessings, it's about luck. A very important house, as I've already stressed about this in my previous video. So whenever a planet placed in the ninth house, or the lord of the ninth house, or any other planet because of sun gets combusted in the ninth house, or something to do with the ninth house, you call it as ancestral curse. That is, your ancestors, the whole vansh is being cursed. Now, obviously, you can come out of this by doing a lot of things to people. It means that it's been there from one generation to another generation. So these are a few reasons why sun is supposed to be the most powerful planet, if not the only powerful planet, and also a natural malefic, but a borderline malefic. Now we look at sun, and this is uh, the the horoscope where I've just mentioned for you guys to understand what is a house and what do you mean by sun, exaltation, own sign, directional strength, and all those sort of things. In the first horoscope here, you're seeing Aries as a sign, you're seeing Scorpio, and you're seeing Leo here, and I've mentioned it as own sign. Now, what does this mean? Now, Sun is exalted in Aries. Exalted is, it's a very powerful position for Sun, and Sun is obviously very strong in Leo because it's its own sign, and Sun becomes very strong in Scorpio because it's a Mars rule sign. And when I've written here, here, and here, it means Sun. See, Sun is basically very close to Mars, a very good friend of Mars, a very good friend of Jupiter, and neutral to Moon and Ketu, and enemies to other planets. It's pretty close with Mercury also, but specifically with Mars, it's very strong. Jupiter, yes. Moon, it's neutral, or in some cases, it's pretty strong. So when I've written here, it means this sign is the sign of Pisces, owned by Jupiter, and this is Saggy, and this is Cancer, and this is its own Leo sign. So wherever I've mentioned here, Sun is very strong in these houses. Now, when you say a strong Sun, doesn't mean this is just the sign for which I'm saying it's a strong Sun. In the class ahead, I'll tell you how how a weak Sun is still strong. Now, if you look at a few astrologers, they'll just say, oh, Sun is niche, Sun is weak in your horoscope, it's not going to do well. No, that's not right. You have to analyze the horoscope and you have to look at Sun, because Sun and Moon basically are not like two, when you can't say it's too debilitated or exalted, or a strong or a weak Sun. Sun and Moon are the basic essence in this life. So Sun can't be a naturally debilitating or a exalt sort of a thing. So even a debilitated Sun can do wonders. Now in the second chart here, I've written where and all the Sun does well. That means whenever Sun occupies the first house in a natal horoscope, or the third house, or a fifth house, or the sixth house. I've not mentioned sixth house, but yeah, sixth house, yes. 10th house and 11th house. Now, why does Sun do wonders whenever they are there in the first house? Now, whenever there's a Sun in the first house, it means, it's I and Sun meeting there in the ascendant. Especially if you are a Aries ascendant or a Scorpio ascendant or a Leo ascendant. A strong Sun in the ascendant makes one very self-confident, authoritative, commanding, powerful. You'll have all the government, just going down to you. That's Sun, that's the king. So in the first house, I've told Sun is very strong, and I've told fifth house Sun is very strong because it's also about creativity, it's also about children. Fifth house is creativity, children, fun, takt, हम हिंदी में जो बोलते हैं, power. So that comes through the fifth house. So that's where the Sun becomes very strong. And Sun becomes very strong in the ninth house because I've told you Sun is the king of the planet, and ninth house is divine, God, blessings. So you need Sun's blessings here. And then 10th house. Why 10th house? 10th house is because 10th house is the most challenging house, and when you have a planet like Sun sitting in the 10th house, it makes you super motivated, career oriented, go-getter, and even a debilitated Sun in the 10th house does not mean a bad Sun. So, and in the 11th house is obviously because 11th house is power, fame, recognition, and all those sort of things. So Sun is very powerful in the 11th house because you associate Sun with all those sort of things. And now, I didn't mention about the 6th house. This is the 6th house, natural 6th house. Now, Sun, why is Sun strong in the sixth house? All malefics in third, sixth, 10, and 11 do well. So, in the sixth house is because sixth house is about enemies, sixth house is about competition. So, when you put Sun there, a strong Sun there, it means you're competitive. So, when you're competitive, you win over, you have victories. So, basically, what I'm trying to say is these are the houses where I've mentioned the names where the Sun is very strong. And when I say here, it means it's either the Jupiter's house or the Mars's house where, or the Moon's house where Sun becomes strong in those houses. So it does not considered weak there. Now, have you ever thought about or asked yourself whenever people say, "Oh, what's your sun sign? What's your moon sign?" Okay, that's for another day. Sun sign, that's the Western way. But in the Vedic horoscope, for example, you are a Aries ascendant or whatever, wherever your ascendant is, irrespective of it. If you have a sun and a moon opposite to each other, have you thought about it? What could be the reason for that? It's a rare phenomenon, but people do have it, and it could be either of the three or something else also. But this is what I could find with all the thing which I know. And I'm sure you will not find this anywhere else, like very few people dwell into this. But if you are an astrologer, or if you have a keen interest in astrology, you will have to look at this phenomenon also. Now, when I say complex and multifaceted, means people are very complex, because Sun is soul and Moon is the body. So there's always that complex sort of nature in it, which is sort of multi thing. And it could also be balancing out, because Sun in the Aries makes Sun very strong in Aries, and Moon in Libra, which is a naturally balancing sign, for you to be more diplomatic and tactful. And it could also mean a transformation. That's to be a better person and excel in whichever house the Sun sits in. So this was very interesting, and you could associate with. I would be very happy to hear from you guys in the comment section if any of you guys have Sun and Moon sign in the Vedic horoscope opposite to each other. This is very different from the Sun sign, the Western Sun sign. I'm talking about the Vedic horoscope. So please don't confuse there. Now, finally, I thought about having a case study. Okay, now you can see the horoscope. Sun is placed in the third house. So I'm depending upon how much you understood or how effective I was in communicating what I had to. Just asking you, is Sun good here, bad here, debilitated here, and all those sort of things? There's one case study here, there's another case study here. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. The two horoscopes are it's there in the public domain. I don't want to mention the name of the celebrity there. I would just give you I'll not explain much. I will leave you guys to figure this out. Now, in the case study one, I've asked if the Sun is strong or weak or debilitated. Yes, the Sun is debilitated here in Libra. Sun is debilitated in Libra, but still a very powerful horoscope. And I would want to hear from you guys that what makes the Sun very powerful here, in spite of the ascendant Lord being debilitated in the third house. Now, in this horoscope, I would want you guys to tell me what is that which gives Sun the strength here. Obviously, it's strong, but what is that which makes Sun very strong here? I would be very happy to hear from you guys in the comment section. Thank you so much, guys. There's so much to say, so much to talk, because it's a huge topic. But I've tried to explain, pick the most important sort of things and explain it to you guys. If you want me to, talk more about any particular thing related to the same topic, that is Sun, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to do that. Thank you so much, guys. That's the end of the slide. So, thank you, guys.